our walks up in Colombia. I spent time up in their mountain up there, and you come in at 1,000 feet, and there you see them using pendulums and things like this. And you go up to 13,000 feet, and they're totally telepathic at that point. You go a little bit higher to about 13.5, and they're more than just telepathic. It's full visual telepathic, where you can actually present to the other person whatever it is that you want to present, not only just in sound, but in full imagery. You go a little bit further, and that imagery can wrap around you, and you can actually change the external environment through your internal structure. And I've witnessed this with them and saw it happen. It's almost like Steven Spielberg. It's hard to imagine. If you keep going up further, they get farther and farther and farther and higher. And there are people at 16,500 feet in the Sierra Nevada mountains that actually live inside mountains in these huge caves in there, where they float off the ground about a foot in the dark. And these people, and that's a specific level of consciousness that anybody can attain. It's just it matters of time and focus. But they're doing it, and from there, they're probably doing more to keep this world in balance than anyone else. But we are coming to that time, and we are coming to that time very, very soon. I give us only no more than about 4 years max, and I think that it'll happen before then, really.
Okay, and I just want to let everybody know real quick, I'm sorry to butt in here, but our guest call-in number is 347-838-8092 if you'd like to join the conversation.
Okay. Drunvalo, if you don't mind, Eric, I'd like to ask another question. Some of the techniques that you've utilized, especially your meditative instructions on the breathing process, is very effective. Where did you learn some of these practices, if I can so ask?
Most of what
I don't mind. I'm pretty transparent. I'll tell you anything that I can. It's taken a long time. I came here from another place, not from here, and I came from a place that didn't even have stars and planets. But coming here, I was not allowed, put it this way, to use that knowledge. I had to do it purely from a human point of view. And from there, my higher self, part of my higher self, which appears as these spheres of light, they led me to many, many different teachers around the world. Initially, it was about 70 people, and they would actually come into my meditation and give me the name, address, and phone number of someone. I would call them up, and that would be some teacher somewhere in the world. I would then go there and study with them. And so slowly I began to understand the avenues that this world has developed on how to move one level of consciousness to another. Over time, that's risen to many other people. Slowly also the ancient world has come into there, because they really, really remember more than most of the people that we think have deep understanding, such as even the Tibetans and the Hindus and the Sufis, etc. But most of this information has come directly through from my higher self to me. In other words, when I get to a place in meditation that I don't understand, I don't know where to go, they won't just say, oh, here's exactly what you do. They'll say, well, try moving in this way, or being silent now and don't doing anything, whatever it is. And then slowly, with working with that, I will begin to get the experience, the understanding, and then over time it develops. Some of this information, like that's in the Awakening the Illuminated Heart, where we develop these beams of light that come out of the pineal gland that extend about hand length off the head. There's 8 of them. the history around that and exactly how they're developed, which is a very complex way of developing those things, they came from the Mayans. They were the first ones to show me how to do this, and though it's a very, very secret thing, or at least it was for a long time ago, they would do this to their children when they were going through puberty. The grandmother would go to the male child and show him and activate his beams, and the grandfather would go to the female and activate her beams. And then later I discovered that this is something that is, even though it's one of the most secret things in the whole world, it isn't held just by the Mayans or even one of their tribes. They've got 440 tribes. But it's I was in Hawaii, and I had two old kahuna teachers there and discovered that they also knew this exactly in the incredible detail that the Mayans knew it. And that's when I realized that it really is something that from a long time ago, it's embedded in our DNA of our indigenous people. They know what it is. And so that's where I learned that. But each thing, all these various pieces of consciousness that are now put together into a stream, it just takes time. And it's within every one of us. We all know this stuff. There is no secret in the universe that we don't have, that we can't completely unfold if we are in our heart and we are coming from our heart. That's where we're living. All knowledge is available to us at that moment. If we're in our brain... Yes.
Yeah, excuse me. When you speak of the heart and the energy of this, time period of the 0 point crossing the galactic plane, and this whole energy is moving us into a feminine consciousness, and it just so happens I've completed a book that I wrote 20 years ago called The Beloved. It's called now, The Beloved I Am, Christ Within. The second coming of the Christ is within. And I know this is very synergistic and with many of your concepts and ideas and feelings and communications. But the whole energy of this transition from the old male patriarchies over the last 5,000 years has been a consciousness. And what I see, one of the biggest problems is people define the Mayan calendar as a calendar, just as they look at the Egyptian pyramids as tombs or measurement devices. These things are all about consciousness and communication with the higher orders. In my opinion, is this change to the feminine consciousness, is a central theme of where we're headed. And I'll shut up and let Eric bring on the other guests after this. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with all of that. I see it a little bit longer cycle. The precession of the equinoxes, which is which the Mayans put at 25,625 years, science has it at 25,727 years, I think it is. That half of that cycle, half of that 25,625 years is male, and the other half is female. And at this moment of December 21st, 2012, it switches from the male to the female. When that happens, the male view of the reality that which is a very logical, almost mathematical view of how things are, switches to the right brain and to a way of perceiving that we have really pretty much as a planet forgotten, because it's been so long. And it's going to be a big surprise, because that's when telepathy and all these knowingness, our feelings, a whole different way of understanding life begins to emerge everywhere, not just from females, but from males too. And the kundalini of the earth, which has shifted locations from Tibet into into Chile. That energy is about to really come on full power, and it will begin to create Kundalini experiences to people in those regions that where those people, at least initially where it is going to be born from, we believe anyway, they will begin to teach concepts and ideas and understandings that we won't even recognize at first. It'll be so different than what we normally think of. The spiritual view of the universe changes. It isn't that it's any different. It's just on the female side rather than the male side, and this is already beginning to happen. We're beginning to see the female aspects, such as presidents, even play. Chile has a new female president. Argentina has. Germany has. The United States almost had one. But eventually, politically, religiously, spiritually, and all kinds of levels, the female will begin to gain power, and because she understands something that is now in its moment of time, and the male will slowly recede back because his way, which was important and necessary for a long time, will no longer have that power that it had before, and it just simply won't work because we'll be, you might say, in a different space, in space and time and size. And so I think it's a beautiful thing that is about to happen, and there's really not much we can do except to begin to understand and to live and to breathe and to be one with this new way.
I agree with that process as well. When you spoke once about when our body is born, how the zygote, the first original 4, 8, 16 cells up to 528 develop the heart, and then at that next expansion, it moves into the tongue. And I thought that was really extremely interesting when you look at that we are here to express and develop, but we develop out of that polarity, because you speak of polarity as being one of the difficulties of our civilization, because we have this male-female, black-white polarity, and it's only difficult when we're in reaction. So as we move into oneness, we move into ethical or balanced relationships, and then we move into telepathy. And I believe, Carl Kalaman's ideas on the Mayan calendar were sufficiently accurate when you look at the calendar as a map of consciousness rather than a map of time. And so, hey, Eric, I said I wouldn't ask any more questions, but I did.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate you having all these questions available for us. I just actually wanted to also say thank you to both of you, and of course of all teachers in all generations, because without the dedication and research that everyone has done on this subject, and